Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Bunyato. Tonight, House of Representatives warns against the removal of INEC chairman. Speaker says idea of interim government tantamount to coup. Court declares President Jonathan eligible to contest in the forthcoming general elections. PPPRA attributes cause of non-ongoing fuel scarcity to lack of credit facility to oil marketers. And federal government signs MOU for the provision of 10,000 housing units for Nigerians.
And on business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission partners with the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission to entrench transparency and accountability on the capital market.
And in sports news, the quest for a ticket to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup begins as Nigeria's Flying Eagles depart the country tomorrow for the African Youth Championship.
We begin tonight with a debate on the tenure of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, and the House of Representatives has warned against his removal by any individual or institutions. The issue came up during House plenary today by way of motion sponsored by Ali Ahmad, a lawmaker from Kwara State, which was adopted despite opposition in the House. The issue was also echoed by the Speaker when he received members of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room and the idea of an interim government in the country. Our correspondent Lanre Lasisi reports.
For some time now, one question that has been on the lips of many Nigerians is, will the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, be allowed to complete his tenure, or will he be removed from office? This was the focus of a motion considered by the House of Representatives at its proceedings.
Concerned that any alteration to the status quo arrangements in whatever form at this crucial stage would invariably lead to further postponement of the date of elections, further concerned that such threats to tamper with the status quo may take several forms, including but not limited to illegal removal of the current INEC chairman.
The motion urged the political class, the government, and security agencies to heed the warning against any interference with the schedule of the general elections. The House also warned against any person or organization taking any decision that makes it difficult to hold elections as planned. The motion was immediately opposed.
Mr. Speaker, 62 talk clearly about no dilatory motion shall be entertained by the Speaker. This motion, clearly, as good as you may hear it, is totally speculative. You have not been able to quote or tell us precisely what actually is happening. And where we sit down and we start taking speculative motions, I think at the end of the day we may draw some unnecessary conclusion. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is interested in removing Jega, because at the end of the day we want a free and fair election. Hold on, please, let me land. No, hold on, let me land. That is the prayer of the motion. Now when you start...
I have to overrule you.
Without a debate, the motion was put to a vote.
Those in support of this motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.
After the plenary session, the Speaker met with members of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, a coalition of civil society organizations. While commending the contribution of civil societies to the development of the country, the Speaker said there is need for them to be vigilant, as some individuals are against the elections.
We must not be playing ostrich. It's very clear that certain individuals are not interested in a free and fair process of elections in this country.
He also spoke against the call for an interim government, saying the country is not at war.
All these talk about interim government. Where? We don't have it in the Constitution. Is anybody trying to come and remove us from here first? Those talking about interim government, are they planning a coup? We should ask them, because you have got to halt the current arrangement before you can have an interim government. In any case, it will be outside the Constitution. Any form of government outside the Constitution is a coup against democracy.
The Speaker assured the group that the National Assembly will do everything necessary to sustain the country's democracy. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
An appeal court in Abuja has struck out a suit challenging the eligibility of President Goodluck Jonathan to contest the 2015 presidential election. The appellate court held that the first tenure of the president started following his election on April the 11th, 2011, and he took his first oath of office on May 29th, 2011, and that his second tenure cannot expire in May 2015. The court also held that his becoming president in May 2010 was a constitutional provision following the death of a president. The court further held that assuming the office of the president in 2010 was not an election, and as such cannot be counted as part of his tenure until the president is eligible to stand for election. The court finally held that the appeal lacks merit and ordered the appellants to pay the president and the People's Democratic Party 50,000 naira as costs.
It was a comprehensive and lucid judgment on the issue, on the tenure issue that we have been on for quite some time now. And that for now, the Court of Appeal has settled it. They've interpreted those sections.
The judgment of the Court of Appeal in this matter that had generated so much interest and controversy is very welcome. The court examined all the issues involved in the appeal, from the decision of the lower court concerning the preliminary objection and on the merit. And the Court of Appeal, after painstakingly interpreting the provisions of Section 137 and 135 of the Constitution, as well as 146, came to a decision that President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan ran for the office of president on only one previous occasion, and that was in 2011. And that being the case, he is eminently qualified to run again in 2015, which had been the position that we were taking all along from the Court of Trial.
Well, the court has spoken, and I've not spoken to my client yet, but I think the Court of Appeal has been able to make a distinction, which I've noticed somehow, on the issue of that word, elected. I think that is the only distinguishing word or phrase there that I will give it to the respondent. But I think it's a fair contest.
Now, the Director of Media, President Jonathan Campaign Organization, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, has come down hard on the main opposition party, the All Progressives Congress. The PDP campaign spokesperson had asked the APC to render an apology to him within 7 days and also be ready to pay damages of 5 billion naira and withdraw what he referred to as false and defamatory statements against his person. Mr. Fani-Kayode made this known in a letter written and signed by Ahmed Raji & Co., a law firm said to be representing the PDP campaign spokesperson, with a header, Femi Fani-Kayode, were concerned about Fani-Kayode's mental status. The letter, dated March the 3rd, made reference to a press release purportedly written by the APC National Publicity Secretary, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. In the said press statement, Alhaji Mohammed is said to have asked Mr. Fani-Kayode to tell Nigerians that he, quote, remains clean and that he will not do anything that will see him needing a prolonged reformation in a foreign land, end of quote. The press statement also claims that the APC is concerned from the series of incoherent statements, outlandish behavior exhibited by Mr. Fani-Kayode in recent times, which call into question his state of mental health, and I'm still quoting. The law firm, however, says they deny all said about Mr. Fani-Kayode and claims that the allegations said to be contained in the purported statement from Alhaji Lai Mohammed against him is false. Meanwhile, the APC was the first to draw the sword of a possible legal battle and payment of damage fees over allegations of defamation and libel. The All Progressives Congress had asked the People's Democratic Party and the Director of Media and Publicity of its presidential campaign, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, to produce evidence on their purported claims of oath-taking and the resignation of Professor Yemi Oshibajo for national leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu, in the event that General Muhammadu Buhari wins the March 28th presidential election. The APC Presidential Campaign Organization, in a statement in Abuja by its Director of Media, Mallam Garba Shehu, warned that the PDP and Mr. Fani-Kayode to either show evidence of the oath-taking or retract the libelous claims within 72 hours or be ready to be charged to a court of law. The campaign office of the APC went further to say that the claims attributed to the PDP through Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode is an attack on the hard-won integrity and the reputation of those it referred to as great Nigerians. Mr. Shehu says the party views the claims as both slanderous and libelous and therefore will not leave the matter to chance. Now, after all that back and forth, the Independent National Electoral Commission says after 1:30 p.m. on Election Day, no one will be allowed to cast their ballot. The Director General of the Electoral Institute, Abubakar Momo, who spoke to journalists at a sensitization workshop for labor unions in Lagos, said the verification of voters would commence at 8 a.m. and close at 1 p.m., while voting would begin at 1:30. Mr. Momo maintained that anyone not on the queue before 1:30 would automatically be disqualified.
It's important for Nigerians to know that any voter or prospective voter that does not appear at the polling units where he or she has been accredited before 1:30 p.m. will not be able to vote. Because at exactly 1:30 p.m., a security personnel will stand behind the last person on the queue. And it invariably means that anybody who comes after 1:30 p.m. will not be able to vote. The point is that in addition to the card being read, your biometrics will be captured again. And it will show, because if it is the wrong biometrics, it will not indicate. Is that okay? So it will not indicate. And that will detect it. And secondly, immediately you are verified by the card reader. You are going to go to the next person who will look at the register of voters, cross-check your name, your sex, your age, your particulars as contained in that card reader, and match it with the photo that appears on the card on the permanent voter's card, and check, because what is on your permanent voter's card is also on the register of voter, and it is going to come out in colored. It will indicate whether you are the appropriate card owner or not. And once that person dictates that you are not, automatically they hand you over to the security personnel available at the polling unit.
In part 2, after the break, more responses to reports on our eyewitness portal. We bring you the latest actions taken by government agencies. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.